have a jar, and you need a string tied to, say, a pencil or a crayon or a spoon or a stick, and then something to weigh it down. I used a paper clip. You need to make sure that that string does not touch the bottom, because these crystals will form and attach the bottom to the string, and then you won't be able to pull them out. So once you have that set, go ahead and take it out. And then we've got our boiling water going. You're going to add 2 cups of sugar for every 1 cup of water. And that's going to be in your directions. You're going to add 1/4 a cup at a time. So you don't have to measure that exactly. You do need 2 cups, but you can just kind of eyeball it. So I'm going to do 2 cups, or 1 cup here. And then I'm going to pour about 1/4 of it in. And then stir it. Once it dissolves completely, then I'll add some more. The more you do this, the longer it's going to take in between you adding it, because it's going to take longer to dissolve.
It's like 2 cups of sugar for every 1 cup of water.
Exactly. And that will be in your directions. Has anybody ever made sweet tea?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
At the restaurant, how do you have to do that? Let's say they give you regular tea. How do you have to make sweet tea?
You add 1 sugar packet at a time.
You add 1 sugar packet at a time. What are you going to do?
Stir.
Stir. And that will help it dissolve. What happens when you get to like 10 packs of sugar? Anybody done that before?
Yeah.
I mean, I did that when I was little and I got in trouble for it, but I've tried it. What happens?
It takes forever to dissolve.
It takes forever to grow. It's gross. It takes forever to dissolve, and sometimes it doesn't dissolve. What happens when it's not dissolving?
It's like the liquid tastes like all crystal.
Yeah, it tastes crystal. You can taste those grains, and it just drops to the bottom. How many of you guys have ever had sweet Southern iced tea? Yes. Now, I can guarantee there's more sugar in that than you've ever put in the restaurant version. How do you get sweet Southern iced tea?
Wait, is it like more of the tea substance stuff?
You have to heat it first.
It's heated.
You get if you're making a lot of tea, which my mother-in-law does, you get a big pot of water and you bring it to a boil. You add the tea, the bags of tea, and then you pour a ton of sugar in, like cups and cups and cups of sugar in. And it holds way more sugar that way than it would from the restaurant when it's already cold. So what you're doing when you do that is you're allowing more sugar to go into solution than would normally happen at room temperature, and that's called a supersaturated solution. And the neat thing about it is that even though normally at room temperature it wouldn't hold that much, if you do it while it's boiling and then you bring it back to room temperature, it will keep holding it in solution. And so that's what we're doing today. And what's going to happen to this is over time, what happens to water? I probably should have done a little something.
It evaporates.
It evaporates. So as that water evaporates, the sugar is going to come out of solution, but because it's all in this liquid form and it's evaporating very, very slowly, it's going to make crystals in the rock candy form. And the slower it evaporates, the larger the crystals that happen. And you guys know that from BIMS and ELFs. What does BIMS stand for?
Big crystals. Slow cooling.
Slow cooling and big crystals. And when you guys go back there, maybe today, maybe next week, you guys can see a short solution. It was boiling too much. And I just got crystals pretty much immediately after I poured it in, because so much water had evaporated off that the crystals came out of solution very quickly, and it's got small crystals. These, either this, definitely the red one, probably the green one, and hopefully this one, is going to take days before crystals really start forming. And as long as you guys don't bump it, those crystals are going to be pretty large. And so it's kind of neat to be able to see when it forms quickly versus slowly how those crystals change. Yeah.
How do the crystals like attach to the string?
Okay, so
It's like forming on the bottom.
it makes it a lot easier if you have what's called a seed. Clouds, they form around dust particles. You guys will talk about that when you get to meteorology. It needs some place to start that crystal. Otherwise, you're not going to have nice large crystals. So that's something that's different that it can bond to, and it starts attaching, and then it keeps growing from there. And then it attaches to itself, the sugar to the sugar.
And so are we supposed to bring it in like when it's in a liquid form or when it's like fully